Listeners, please be aware that in this episode we use the word extreme and extreme amount. We're extremely sorry. You're listening to Smegcast with Matt, Gary and Devon. Hey, you know, Gary, the other night I actually fell asleep on the couch and woke up about 1 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what was on actually, which was quite interesting to see?
Oh, yeah. Always interesting things at 1. Yeah.
Well, normally it's those stupid telemarshals, but actually for once it was X Games.
Oh, the stream sports. You just wait for the guy to fall over on something. Those X Games?
Pretty much. Some people may not even know what X Games are. They might be thinking, oh, it's about like your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend and you're trying to hunt them down with a machine gun or something.
Deathmatch.
Yeah, deathmatch. No, but the X Games stands for extreme sports, basically. So, you know, you've got all the...
extreme. It's everything's better, Devon, when it's extreme.
It's extreme. It was so extreme, Gary. I'd have to say it was extreme. I mean, I had to load up on like Pepsi Max.
Oh, yeah.
Doritos, you know, the extreme cheddar variety, you know. Because, I mean, those Doritos, they can be really quite bad. Because you think they're triangular. I mean, imagine you choking on a triangular Dorito in your throat.
That would be extreme.
That would be very extreme.
It would be. I mean, what a way to go. Yeah, so it was an extreme night then.
It was pretty extreme, but the funny thing was when I was watching it, it actually brought back memories of a game. I don't know if you remember this one. It was probably quite popular in the early 90s. California Games.
Oh, man, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that game. That was one of the first games I ever played on a console because I went to a friend's house. The Sega Master System, which was like the crappy Sega Genesis that came out, you know, just before the Genesis, you know, took over everything, and the Super Nintendo, and that game was on there. I remember being utterly useless at all of it.
See, that was the funny thing about that game. As soon as you basically put that cartridge in and then choose a particular game, whether it was the surfing or the BMX, you know, usually within 2 seconds you were dead.
Yeah,
you know, you used up all your lives because there was no instructions with it too.
Well, I remember California because I remember seeing the cover of the game in a store.
Yeah.
Right? And the thing about the cover of the game is that it looked amazing because the cover was like it was like a handsome guy and then it had like a palm tree on it and the sun was like, you know, that orangey Californian glowy sun and there was skateboards and extreme shit happening. Yeah. And I just looked at it and I thought, this thing.
It's the most Californian kind of thing you can imagine. You know, I think you had the girl in the bikini wearing the rollerblades. That's right. And all that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah.
And,
it was one of the first things though that I ever put on and I played and you can go, it was like 9 games in one.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, you thought, well, I'm not going to get bored of this because I've got like, you know, a bunch of different shit in it. But then you play like the hacky sack thing and you're like, no, I'm bored of this instantly. This is terrible. But I remember, I remember playing it, mate, and I wasn't good at it. I think that's the problem, Devon, is that if I'm not, at least if the game doesn't meet me halfway and tell me how the hell I can be good at it, I just kind of give up after a while.
See, the thing was, I actually mastered it because the thing was, I figured out that if there's one particular, basically the way it was, to get the high scores, there was basically one particular trick. If you did that one particular trick multiple times through those couple of minutes to the end, man, you got the best scores possible.
What games? So they had the surfing.
So there was the surfing. BMX.
Well, there was the kick in the ball.
Yeah, the foot bag.
The Golden Gate Bridge was on like the left-hand side of the screen.
And you know what else was in the background? Alcatraz.
I
mean, you sort of think...
Where is this?
I'm thinking of the wonderful things of California. Alcatraz.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, so that was a very San Francisco thing. I don't know what... Were they trying to... That was definitely a hippie thing.
Yeah, I think it was. And then you had BMX, surfing.
Skating.
Yep, the skating on the
Yeah.
I think it's always...
God, a puddle is on the ground. Jump. Oh, I didn't jump in time. Now I'm dead.
See, that was the funny thing, especially with the roller skating. That one was probably one of the most horrific injuries you would get in that game because basically, you know, the girl should be in her bathers or whatever, rollerblading or...
She didn't have any protection on, I doubt.
Well... Basically, the way it was, there was, you know, you have your path or as the Americans call sidewalk. You know,
you're on the sidewalk. Yeah, that one.
That one. And the thing was, basically, if there was a little clump of grass between the
grass.
the grass. She would trip. She would fall flat on her face. But it wasn't just like a simple trip like onto the hands and the knees or anything.
I don't remember it.
Her whole face basically just got ploughed into the pavement. Like if that was a person in real life, you would grab them by the back of their head and lift them up.
Wow, that's violent.
And there'd be no face.
Yeah,
it would just be like a skull.
Yeah,
Just it looked like the Grim Reaper or something.
Yeah, it's not really encouraging you to skate, is it? Really?
And then she'd crash on if there was someone had done graffiti on the pavement.
Oh, I do remember.
She would trip over the graffiti. She'd trip if there was a little bit of a gap. In the pavement.
Then she would trip over the gap.
She'd trip over that.
I mean, really, if you think about it, she's just really quite a shit skater, though. I mean, if you can't get over a puddle or a fucking gap in the pavement, mate, you're not going to get very far.
See, what we used to do was we used to actually take it to another level, especially
you went extreme.
Yeah, we went totally extreme, totally, and so we would basically get her up to quite a fast speed and then deliberately trip her over, and she would fly she would fly 10 meters in front of her and then boom, straight on the face again.
Isn't it funny, when you're a kid and you're kind of games are built to make you go, don't do this because it's painful. You kind of go, let's see how much pain we can cause. But let's see how destructive can we be with this game.
But the thing was too, even with that game too, the footbag part of the game, where the guy's just basically kicking that little ball above his head and stuff
that
like
was boring, Devin. I mean, I know you support the game. I mean, that is a pretty pathetic.
But there was a highlight.
It's not surfing.
There was something funny about that though, because there used to be a seagull.
Right.
That would fly above you. Oh. And so if you bounced the ball off your head, you would knock out the seagull out of the sky.
Oh, did you get extra points?
I think you did actually, but the thing was, by doing that, you aren't you kind of promoting animal cruelty and stuff like that?
Yeah, you are actually.
Let's just kill a bird.
So okay, you were an expert on this.
Yeah.
Really? How much time do you spend on California games to become good at it? Because I don't know about you, because I did the surfing one, and I figure that when you buy the game, that's the main one you want to do. I don't know, am I right? Because I figured that is the headline thing I want to do when I play the game is, I want to do surfing. I never played a surfing game before. I think that's the key game I want to do. And I was terrible at it.
Well, see, I think for me, because there was really no proper instructions in the game, normally you'd say, press down or press left or whatever to do the trick. Yeah. A lot of the time you'd just be pressing random buttons and then you'd do something and you go, wow, that bike just backflipped.
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
And you go, okay, so let's try it. And it was trial and error.
Trial and error. You see, I wasn't good at that. The hacky sack one was when, is it called hacky sack? Is that, or football?
Oh, foot bag.
Foot bag, right. So it is hacky sack, right?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So he's kicking it up. But the thing is that when I pressed the button, he would kick a second after I pressed the button. There was a delay.
Yeah.
And it was this is bullshit. Why can't I kick it? I can't. And you have to move right to left.
Yeah.
And then I got to hit the bird as well.
See, the key,
this is complex.
So the key was basically all you had to do was just stand in front of the bag, kick it up in the air, and then you just bounce it off your head, and then you just spin around. So you'd spin it from the front of your head, then you spin around and do it from the back of your head, and just kept doing that and just repeat it. And then as the bird's flying above, because it's already up pretty high up in the air, it would hit the bird as you go by. And
so you could spin, right?
Yeah, you could spin.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you could see the front of the body and then spin around and be the back of the body. And
I had no idea you could spin. Right. Okay. I'm learning a lot of things today. I'm worried that I think if I play it again, I don't think my skill level will have gone up in the 20 years, 30 years since I played it. I'm just worried I'll just be this. I think I'm California games disabled is what I'm saying. I don't think it's in me. I don't think I can do it. The surfing though, the surfing thing was, there was a wave chasing you, and then you had to surf, and then you had to do a jump on the wave, and then keep going.
Yeah.
And then you just kept going and going and going and going. And all I did was go, and then the wave caught up with me, and then I'd fall, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then after about 5 minutes of this, I was like, oh, come on. And I really wanted it to represent, but it did. It represented the California dream, right? It represented all these cool things, and it was extreme.
It was extreme.
It was extreme. Extremely hard, extremely frustrating, but an extreme, though, So which one was the best one, though?
See, I like the bike, the BMX one.
Right.
I mean,
you do somersaults in that?
Yeah, you do like a backflip, and that's where you got the big point. So you basically pedal a little bit.
Yeah.
And then if you came across a rock or a little bit of a ledge, you'd jump off and you do a flip.
Yeah.
And that's what got the good scores.
What else was there on that as well?
Oh, there was the half pipe.
Oh, of course. Well, that was a classic, though.
Yeah, skateboarding, that's pretty much...
That is extreme.
That is extreme.
That is something, but you can't talk about 80s, 90s extreme culture without talking about half pipe.
But see, I think it even threw in like extreme terms too. When you were on the high half pipe, when you get up to the top of the ramp and then you'd spin around, it would sort of go like gnarly or radical.
Dude. Unbelievable. Dude. Man, I'm trying to think. It is a whole other language.
You got to sort of channel sort of that
Bill and Ted, you know.
Bill and Ted,
yeah.
Sort of thing.
I'm trying to get into the zone. The thing is, when you're from Ireland, Devon, there's not a lot of extremeness in the Irish blood. It's very much the extreme is more around the weather, you know.
See, that's one thing I was thinking about because, you know, like, I mean, I come from obviously Australia where it's, you know, quite a warm climate, you know, good weather.
I mean, you're much more closer to the California ideal than I am. Yeah. I'm, you know, half my country died from having no potatoes. There's very extreme in a different way.
So, you know what because I can't picture like the skateboarding scene being a big thing in Ireland.
Do you know, I did have one though.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a child, I guess, of the 90s, slightly of the 80s, but mostly of the 90s.
Yeah.
And there was, you know, extreme culture was a thing. Yeah. It was massive in the 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so having a skateboard was very much a rite of passage for being a young person. But the thing is, Devon, you know, if you're in Ireland, they couldn't make a pavement even for shit.
Well, so this,
you know, so which is a desperate problem to have when you want to fucking skateboard, because you're just going, you know, gravel, like it's like fucking loose asphalt, kind of, like nothing, fucking no concrete, just fucking like. It's like trying to skateboard in the Sahara Desert. Yeah. You know, there's no momentum. You know, so all you're doing is pushing yourself along dirt.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Because the funny thing is too, like I would think, okay, you know, Christmas over there is normally in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
So, you know, parents would give their kids in Ireland, you know, a skateboard, and then they go, well, we can't use it for 6 months because it's still snowing outside.
It's true.
So then the whole novelty of the present is probably totally worn off.
So true.
And then you sort of think, oh, let's go into town to skateboard, and it's probably all cobblestone streets. Oh,
it's terrible.
So you imagine trying to like skateboard on a cobblestone street where you probably like go over the first little bump. Again, and you're probably gone a meter, and then you go, you know, this is terrible. This is just too difficult.
I don't know how. Did you skateboard though?
I did.
You did, right? Yeah. So how? Honestly though, how good were you, or how like advanced did you get, or was it just like a fleeting thing?
No, I was actually pretty good. I had a few different skateboards, but the thing probably one of the easiest tricks for people to do I've never mastered, and that was one called the ollie.
Right. Now that's basically, if I remember my Tony Hawk history right. This is Tony Hawk Pro Skater, which is basically where I learned really like a master's degree in skateboarding. That game, it's ollie is really a basic jump and a land.
Yeah, that's pretty much all it is.
Yeah. And it's kind of a fundamental skateboarding trick, isn't it?
And that one I've just never been. I can go on a ramp. I can go on a skateboard ramp and things like that. And but doing an ollie, no,
fuck that.
I will do the ollie, and then that skateboard will just zoom off down the street.
Well, I think the thing is when you watch Tony Hawk, because Tony Hawk was a thing in the 90s, man. He was fucking everywhere, that guy.
Yeah.
So you think, you know, you look at him and you go, man, I'm going to do that. I mean, it looks easy.
Yeah.
But then the crushing reality of skateboarding is that you realize it's not attached to your feet.
Yeah.
It is a totally different thing to the body. And so when you try to do something, you have to learn to counteract. You know, you almost have to learn the weight of the skateboard so that you can understand how to land it on it with your feet at the same time. It's just bizarre.
See, and that's the thing. You know, skateboarding and the type of people have gone through so many different phases. Like, do you know why they actually created a skateboard?
Well, you know, I did see the documentary that was Lords of Dogtown. Or I think that's the movie. I think the documentary is called Dogtown and Z Boys in California. Z Boys. And so, you know, the documentary, you can correct me, but if I remember right, it's because they were all really bored and they were surfers.
Yes.
And they were trying to figure out a way to surf without all the pesky water and sharks and all the other shit. And so it's like, how do we surf without surfing? And so it just kind of was like, you know, it was really just a bunch of kids going like, we need to do something extreme today. This is extreme. Let's take a surfboard and put some fucking wheels on it and then just go. And then that's what happened. Is that what I'm right?
Exactly, yeah. Basically, you know, skateboards sort of filled those gaps when you had the downtime.
Yeah,
you know, because obviously you didn't always get the perfect wave.
That's right. I think you're probably right. Probably weather.
It was never tubular.
Wow. I never heard that. I don't think Bill and Ted knew what tubular was. I think that might have been a bit big for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at least for Keanu Reeves' character, you know. Whoa. But, you know, so it's interesting where skateboarding came from. And then they one of the things the documentary highlighted is that they used to break into people's houses that had pools that were being cleaned or emptied.
Yeah.
And then they'd use those as the half pipe.
Yeah.
And they smashed it. And it was perfect. And it was, you could see how they, used what they had to do something that they couldn't do if the weather was bad or there was no waves.
Yeah.
So it's a cool thing. But the first skateboards, I looked at them in the documentary and I tell you, they didn't look easy to ride.
No, well, they were really actually quite thin. They weren't big. I think they actually just used wheels from like a roller skate.
Yeah.
And pretty much just a plank almost.
Yeah.
Because that was the thing. My very first skateboard was like it was a plastic one. And now they're redoing those. There's a brand of skateboard called Penny skateboards. So, it's just like, it's almost a perfect little skateboard because, you can put it in your backpack. It fits under your arm nice and easily. But yeah, they were just plastic,
Well, it must be easy to fall off though, is it?
Well, I think that was the thing too. Well, I think as a kid, probably because you're not that tall, you had the sort of the better sort of center point of gravity. But as you get sort of, to like a grown man, you sort of, it's a little bit more difficult, I think. You need sort of then the wider ones.
Yeah, you need knee pads, Devon. That's what you need. Like that's one thing about, watching the kids when they invented skateboarding is kind of going, man, these guys did not give two shit about knee pads. All I heard in Ireland was like, where are your knee pads? Yeah. Put your helmet on. But I had elbow pads. Mate, by the time I fucking put on my fucking safety gear, I either couldn't see anything or look like a fucking sniper or something. You know what I mean? Because like they just had so much padding on me that like, it wasn't fun, Devon. The prep work was too hard.
Well, you think about some of those skateboarders probably in the early or late 70s, early 80s. They were probably like skateboarding shirtless, some of the boys, they're probably wearing like little short shorts, probably barefooted as well.
Yeah.
I mean, now, even the young skateboarders today, they're wearing the baggy pants, so there's free movement, big, thick shoes, to give them a bit of extra traction.
You see, I wasn't taught this in Ireland, I didn't have, there was no extremeness.
Well, the thing is, the skateboarding experience would have just lasted all of 2 minutes.
It was a bit disappointing. And I think, the first time you go out in Ireland and you put a skateboard on the ground and you realize that you're not on concrete, you don't have a pool. Nobody in Ireland has a pool. Yeah. Even if, I never seen a pool till I was 34 or whatever. I'm 34 now. Like honestly, it was amazing how, there was nothing there to encourage the act of skateboarding anyway. Yeah. I don't know if you know Ireland very well, but like the only thing that they make bumpy in Ireland is fucking roads. Everything else is flat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it should be the other way about, Devon. It's the fields supposed to be bumpy and the roads supposed to be straight. But in Ireland they go, fuck it, let's keep the fucking fields dead straight and make a road that's fucking windy as bollocks. And that's how they do it. Yeah. And so, you can't really skateboard on a busy road. I learned that one.
But what's funny is there is one group of people who do like to use extreme measures.
Extreme.
Totally extreme.
Totally extreme, dude.
It's totally radical. And going from, from one place to the other in the countryside.
Yeah, right.
Now, it's a little region in the US.
Right.
Can you guess the type of person who would be doing these extreme sports in this little country town?
The type of person.
It
would have to look. I could be on the wrong track here, but I would imagine the only person that would be extreme in a tiny town in America would be like the punk rock guy or something like that. What am I missing?
The Amish.
The Amish. So not like not the Sex Pistol guy.
No.
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 Not the guy with a lead in his face. No, not that guy.
The Amish with the little bearded thing on the little tiny beard that they have on their like the strap kind of chin.
And I tell you, people, You maybe, long-time listeners of this show will know this is the second time we've talked about the Amish. Yet you would be right to wonder what the fuck we're talking about them again for. But yes, so they're extreme?
They are extreme.
How does that work? Is it like extreme church building?
No, they've actually adapted to do some modern things in this day and age.
Really? What, they got PlayStations there or what?
Rollerblading.
No.
And scooters.
No.
But like more so the push scooters.
Really?
Yeah.
So the Amish have taken rollerblading on board.
Because I think in their culture too, or their
they finally released the Mighty Ducks in the Amish culture. Yeah. They're like, fuck, we got to get one of those.
Exactly.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Yeah, because the thing was, I think in their culture or society, you basically can't, they really don't want you to sort of leave the family or the town or whatever. So having things like cars or whatever, can really sort of...
Was that a concession they made? It's like, look, we've got more and more young people are leaving.
Yeah.
So we need to figure out a way to keep them. Fuck it. Let's give them rollerblades. We've rebelled against this long enough. Fuck it. Give it to them and tell them to shut up and stay here. So maybe they studied that, like, if you give a kid a rollerblade at like 13, it means they don't go to Vegas at 18.
Yeah.
You know, something
I
like
think
that.
that's what it is.
It's like, oh, that worked.
But the thing was too, because a lot of them probably were walking, or they were probably, going.
But it's the Amish culture though. It's all about like the 18th century stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't have rollerblades in the 18th century.
No.
So like, they're committing a sin. I mean, there's no way around this, right?
Yeah, it's not even a German thing, because I think that's where a lot of them descended from as well, from the German culture. So, yeah, but there's clips on YouTube. You'll see the Amish, rollerblading. You know, mind you, they're probably not rollerblading like 1 kilometer.
It's like, hey, your beard is totally radical, dude.
It's like, whoa, Jebediah is about to get totally righteous.
That's great. Can't wait to build that church this Sunday. It's going to be amazing. I don't know. It doesn't quite click together. It feels like a collision of cultures a bit as well.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
But they're totally into it now.
But scooters, right?
Even scooters. So there is, and probably most people know of, I think it's like the blade type scooter, which is those ones with the little wheel, and you can almost.
Is that the one you folded up?
Yeah, you can sort of fold up.
They're big, man. There was even in Ireland, there was a while where whoever built the chrome tiny scooter thing that can fold.
Yeah.
They made some money.
Yeah.
Because whatever the Chinese guy built they cleaned up, because there was like everyone in the country had those.
Yeah.
So I guess
unfortunately they didn't go for that style. So they've gone for ones that actually have quite big wheels, similar to almost BMX style wheels.
Wow.
So yeah, quite a sizable scooter. So, it probably helps also traveling great distance, because I think they do move across the country quite a bit too.
I'm just thinking, like, the only way I can see them using a scooter is if they have like 6 horses pulling it. You know what I mean? That's the only way it works.
That's called horsepower.
Yeah, that's kind of like, it's like, that is quite the scooter. Yeah, those horses are killing with that.
But yeah, it's almost it is somewhat old fashioned. But the funny thing was, what I discovered when I was looking up some of these Amish scooters, they've got the old fashioned style. But there was a trend, more so in the 80s, where a lot of people who had BMX bikes would have a particular type of wheel on the bike, which was called, the brand was called Skyway, and the wheel was called Tough, like Skyway Tough wheels. So, most bikes, people are familiar with the metal spokes, but with a lot of the bikes in the 80s, people could buy these rims that were basically like a 5-spoke plastic type rim. So
and just for scooters?
Well, usually they're on BMXs.
Oh.
But now it looks like, the 80s have now finally caught up with the Amish.
Yeah.
And some of them are using the Skyway wheels.
No way.
On these actual scooters.
They're these big things they got.
Yeah. So, it looks pretty cool too. Because I personally, out of all BMX wheels, the Skyway Tough wheel is my favorite, because it just adds color. It's got a real retro look.
It's really 80s, right?
It's the most iconic wheel you could picture on a BMX. Like, you'd straight away, if you saw someone riding with these Tough wheels, you'd look and go, yeah, that's an 80s BMX right there.
That's crazy that they're using that now. I mean, but you have to think, is it an economic thing? Because if you buy a scooter and put some wheels on it, that has got to be cheaper than feeding a horse every day.
Well, that's probably the other thing too.
Yeah, I mean, and there's nothing radical or extreme about a horse. You know what I mean? I mean, as much as horses are wonderful, I'm not putting the horse down or anything like that, but it is not extreme, Devon. They never put a horse in a Pepsi commercial to sell it. You know what I mean?
I suppose if the horse was like fed cocaine or something like that, right.
That's extreme, man.
Or instead of like it's the horses have those little feeder bags in the front of their mouths when they're
they got to give them some.
Instead, it's like the wrong kind of grass.
Yeah,
and they're just getting high and they're like going,
it's a special grass.
It's a special grass.
Yeah, it's interesting. So Amish so what we're saying is the Amish culture is caught up to 1984.
Yeah,
something around there.
They're getting there.
They're getting there. I mean, maybe next year they'll get like the Master System and start playing fucking California games, I guess, as well. Have you heard the music, by the way, of California games?
No.
Yeah, I see. I don't really know how you put up with this shit. This is part of the reason I struggled with the game, because when you hear a song like fucking this, it'll drive you crazy. There, check it out. tell, Devon, it's not the most amazing song of all time. You know, it's almost, it feels like a rip-off of the Louie Louie song.
That's what I was thinking it was. It's kind of like a bad doorbell.
Yeah, it's doesn't scream extreme to me. I mean, maybe that's just me. I'm just saying it doesn't seem like edgy enough.
No.
You know, they needed a bit of punk rock. I feel like the very definition of extreme to me, you know, in a kind of Bill and Ted sense, is kind of on the sidewalk with your skateboard in your hands, drinking some Mountain Dew and listening to Real Big Fish. You know, that's kind of, to me, that was peak extreme, when people were just like, fucking man, this is awesome.
Well, see, I think even in the noughties, you know, that sort of period after 2000, you know, people were listening to things like, you know, POD,
Limp Bizkit. Yeah, bro. Man, Nookie's unbelievable. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, they did penetrate Ireland too. There was a period where Limp Bizkit was huge in Ireland, and it was all kind of like, you know, I want to get some Nookie. Yeah, bro. And so it was a big deal. But see, POD, I remember, but they were a Christian, man, too. Yeah, but nobody knew that. So people were like, man, these guys are edgy as fuck. And it's like, no, not really. It's a bit of Jesus in there, really. It's not really edgy as much as you think it is.
But the funny thing is too, if you want to be extreme, in this day and age, it really doesn't take much to be extreme.
Probably not. I mean, I don't see that culture as much as it used to. I mean, there was a period it was massive, right?
Yeah. See, if I wanted, I could give you an extreme makeover in all of two seconds,
right? And
you'd be totally extreme.
Oh, right.
So
bring it on.
I'll do it.
Do it, Devon. Let's do it. So Devon's going to star a brand new show on Netflix, right? It's about him visiting people's homes and turning them into extreme within 2 minutes. It's very short, but it's going to be good, though. How do you do it, though?
So all you would need, like, if we start from top to bottom, basically all you would need is a Red Bull baseball cap, or maybe one of those Monster Energy drink baseball caps. Okay. That would be the first thing, because it makes it look like you're so extreme that you've got a sponsor.
Yeah, kind of thing. That's true. Extreme people look like they've sponsors.
Yeah,
all the time. Like everything is branded.
You know, they have Red Bull or Monster Energy drinks on everything. So
that's right.
They don't have milk in their cereal or anything.
No, they're not drinking LA Ice. These guys, it's fucking Coke, innit? You know, Pepsi Max.
Pepsi Max.
Yeah, bro.
You know, so that would be the hat. You'd also have it. You'd have to change the type of car you're driving. Yeah. So usually it'd be like a pickup truck. Something like that.
It's like the hillbilly kind of truck.
Well, it'd be like maybe like a big Toyota, with the jacked up suspension and the big knobby tires, and maybe a big sticker in the back window that says something.
Do you have a surfboard on the roof or something? Or
you probably would, or maybe a quad bike sitting in the tray.
Yeah, quad bike. Man, they were huge. Yeah. Man, remember, was it just me, or was there like a year where fucking everybody wanted one of those? Yeah. Man, they were everywhere. They were dangerous as fuck as well.
Well, I remember as a kid, they used to have the trike version. But the problem was the trike kept on rolling over because it's the three-wheeler.
Yeah.
And so many people, they don't even make it. I think Honda used to make
Somebody died doing that. There's no way somebody didn't die. I actually remember in Ireland, they were big, and there was a lot of stories, man, about like 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds, and they're buying, their parents are buying them like a, I don't know, a £800 or £1,000 fucking, quad bike. Yeah. People are really into it. And people were like, yeah, it's this version of the quad bike. It's fucking even more extreme than the fucking other version of the quad bike. It goes, 25 miles an hour at full speed. And you're like, oh, wow. And it was a big thing. Everyone did it. And then I guess, I don't know what happened, but I'm going to say someone died. And then that fucking party was over.
That's all it takes. Yeah, one person to die.
One dude.
One kid gets crushed in a rollover by the quad bike, and that's it.
Yeah. I guarantee it happened. Yeah, that wasn't good.
And then also, to complete, would you call it the ensemble?
Yeah.
For the
it's very extreme.
For the extreme.
Yeah.
Extreme ensemble.
Extreme.
Yeah, so you have to have the right pet. So you would have so you'd have a dog. But the dog would probably wear like a bandana.
Yeah. So true.
You know what I mean? Like
it's like fucking Axl Rose at dogs.
It'd be like, it probably would be something like a bulldog or something, or a pit bull or something with a red bandana around its neck, and it's got a name like Bodie.
It's got a fucking tattoo on his eye, It's like, man, that's so true. And the dog would always just sit there and be like, yeah, man. Yeah. And it doesn't like, I'm just going to go off and like do something extreme, and the dog's like, cool.
Yeah, if you go to a party, the dog would be sitting there on the sofa with all the girls around it.
Oh, that's great.
But then the thing would be, it'd be the change of name as well.
Oh, right.
Your name's Gary.
It's not a very extreme name.
No.
I mean, I've always understood that my name, especially with having a Y in the end, it's not really very extreme. Like, it's not Chad.
Yeah.
Which Chad is a very, Chad is a universally extreme name. I mean, I think, it's not, that name never goes out of date, Devon. Yeah. That's as extreme now as it was in 86. That is a fucking extreme name. Like,
so the extreme name I would think for yourself is, because I've noticed every time you watch something like the X Games, a lot of the guys that usually have like quite a foreign surname, usually like a German surname, maybe because if they're
Gunther,
or some sort of like Hoffman or some name like
Deathbringer.
So I reckon you'd have a name like it'd be like Gaz Mueller. It's like Gaz Mueller's on the half pipe.
Yeah. What an amazing trick by Mueller. It's unbelievable. He is now 10 points on the clear. Yeah, totally. Mueller, I could pull Mueller off. Yeah. It's kind of like Bueller, like Ferris Bueller, but it's cooler though,
So it'd be Gaz Mueller.
I like it.
And the thing is too, because if you ever watch some of those sports too, because if they're doing tricks, especially when they do some of the skiing where they're jumping off the ramps and things like that. Oh, that's
crazy. The ski jump.
That
is not sad. That is extreme. But you know why that's extreme? Because there's no talent in that. One way or the other, you're going to jump. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You're just being pushed off.
It's laws of physics.
It's really just science, isn't it?
What goes up must come down.
That's it. And people go, oh, that was a good jump. And I was like, it was just about as fucking big a jump as the last one.
But what I have to laugh about is the commentary.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not just like, they don't sort of go, oh, wow, he's just jumped.
Yeah.
There's all this terminology, but they're phrases I've never even heard of. Like, they'll go, okay, here's Gaz Mueller. Oh my God, he's just done the
he's done the triple.
It'd be like the Googleplex. Oh my God, he's just done a Googleplex 9 with the McFeast, topping it off with like a German Shepherd.
It's kind of like he did a German Shepherd, man. No one's ever done a German Shepherd in years.
And topped it off with a double Lutz.
Yeah, it is so true. They do that.
And you're just listening and go, what the hell is this? I mean, the average person in the street doesn't know what that freaking terminology is. I mean, the only person who would use it is probably the guy and his coach.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Well, yeah. And, it's a certain thing about that. The ski jump, I've never really, I mean, it would be amazing if like they put like rockets on them or something. Like really give me something extreme.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The ski jump looks a bit tame now. We need something a bit more intense.
Well, see, recently when I was watching the X Games, which was the one just featured in Norway not that long ago.
Yeah, that was on a few days ago?
Yeah, so that one, basically, it was actually set in a car park.
Oh, no, wow.
So they had, all the artificial snow on the ramp.
That's so extreme.
But it's in a car park, because it was filmed during the middle of summer or whatever over there as well.
Yeah, right.
So, and the thing I kept panicking about was, because I don't know if you remember as a kid, you'd maybe do little science experiments, or there was those things where you'd get like maybe a little propeller on the top of a straw and you'd drop it from like a balcony or whatever, and you'd see the little propeller drop all the way down.
I do have memories of that.
Yeah, little toys like that.
Well, I remember the one you pulled the string and it flew in the air.
Yeah, those kind of things.
Yeah.
So when I'm seeing the guy, going down the ramp, and then he's got, the two skis, and he's there spinning and spinning, I'm just waiting for like a wind current to like take him off.
Just keeps going.
Just take him offside, and then boom, he's landed like on a BMW in the car park, crushed through the windscreen.
It is quite funny because, they do, as trained as these guys are, and they're trained, if you're going to do the ski jump, you're going to have to, do a lot of that shit. And getting to the Olympics is hard. Yeah. It's hard. You're like, I'm good at this. You need to be good. It's not, you're going to have to do this shit perfect every time to get in the Olympics. But, there must always be a point when they just come off that ramp and the very basic human caveman part of them goes, oh, fuck. Oh, God.
A little bit of wheeze coming out.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I've done this 1,000 times, piece of cake. Oh, Jesus, look at the size of it, And so there's got to be something about that. I appreciate, though, the crowd.
Yeah.
They're at the very end of it.
Yeah.
They're confident he's stopping.
Yeah.
They go, it'll be all right. He's a professional.
Yeah.
It's like people when they watch golf, and they're facing the guy that's driving.
Yeah.
You're like, he's a professional. There's no way he'd hit me.
Yeah.
It's like, are you going to risk your life? Is that, you're okay with this? But this is the thing, you got to be brave. It makes me think of crowds. This is extreme, Devon.
Yeah.
When you watch racing, and they skid like around the fucking corners, and you're watching on the sidelines, like you're counting on that guy not killing you, at that moment, and that's extreme. But I think we definitely need to add some extra oomph to the ski jump, though. Maybe if they, they drink a Pepsi Max on the way down and you point them on how little they drop as they do the twist.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Very true.
We've got to just make it more extreme.
Or shoot stuff at them.
Actually give them a gun and they have to shoot a target during the jump.
Yeah.
Now that is extreme.
Basically, being a Pepsi Max fan, there's the skateboard ramps, all that kind of stuff that's associated with that commercial.
It's huge.
But just imagine, there's probably a lot of kids out there, like sons and daughters, who ask their parents to make a skateboard ramp, or
so many,
or a half pipe, as the technical term is.
A lot of dads had a lot of chipboard out the back.
But you know what? I reckon there was probably one or two parents who totally got the half pipe wrong.
No, really?
Because you think about it, right? If you said to your dad, "Can you make me a half pipe?" And he goes, "Oh, what's a half pipe?" Well, basically, it's a pipe that's cut in half and you just put it in the backyard. Now, a pipe can be technically cut two ways.
Right.
Down the center through the core.
Yeah.
Or down the middle, like as you would cut, like chopping up carrots.
Right, okay.
So you know what I mean?
I get it.
So, like we all know the half pipe as being like the bottom half of the core of a pipe.
Yeah.
But imagine if, the kid's going, "Dad, can you, this weekend, whilst I'm on camp or whatever, can you go and make a skateboard ramp, a half pipe?" And then he comes back, Sunday afternoon, Dad's made a half pipe, but it's actually like just a big piece of tube.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Thanks, Dad. You really fucked that up. Thank you. I really appreciate it. You just, you never seen a fucking Pepsi Max commercial in your whole life? I suppose the only thing you can do with that is, it's basically just something you can roll water down, isn't it really?
That's true. That's true. Actually, it's funny. There's one of my favourite skateboard half pipe scenes is in a movie called Gleaming the Cube.
Oh, Gleaming the Cube.
With Christian Slater.
Slater, mate. Now, that guy, he was extreme.
Yeah.
Out for a while. Probably not anymore.
Yeah. Well, because I remember in that movie, there's a scene where basically the kids are building a skateboard ramp. They basically build it in like an hour. But then there's a rival gang in the area who destroys it.
Yeah.
And then they're going, "Oh my God, it's their life is over."
Yeah, right.
And I'm thinking, well, it only took you an hour to build the damn thing. Can't you just build it again? Like it's like as though they've destroyed a monument.
Yeah.
That's 100 years old.
It's hilarious. It's like our lives are ruined. I remember that movie, man. That was a movie of its time.
Yeah.
That was a proper skateboarding movie.
Except for the title. I don't think I've
I never understood it.
ever heard someone go, "Gary, I'm just going out to gleam the cube."
What is it, Devon, though? What is it? Is it supposed to be a skateboarding trick?
Yeah, so basically it just means to push yourself to dangerous new limits.
Ah, so it's just a general limit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that could be in any realm. I mean, I could be gleaming the cube at work. I mean, it doesn't really matter whether it's skateboarding or not, does it?
But it's just, I've never ever heard the term. I've heard people say, "I've broken my arm," or
Wow, you really gleamed that cube, and now
I fractured my hip bone, or I grazed my knee.
Yeah. All right, guys, when you go out to sell those encyclopedias, I really want you to gleam the cube on this one. All right? You know what I'm saying? He's like, "No, I don't know if I'm going to do what you're saying."
I mean, being about the movie being about teenagers as well, I mean, they wouldn't be using that terminology. They'd be using things like, "Oh, yeah, I just choked the chicken."
Yeah. Choked the chicken. That's a really good one.
Jerking the gherkin.
I use that all the time. Yeah, I don't know what type of fucking childhood did you have? Choke the chicken, you daily basis, right? Like choke the chicken. Like, what the fuck's Devon talking about?
You know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about. No, I do understand. I do understand. Yes, it's a very subtle, very subtle. It's like well, it's like fresh was like a massive word in the 80s, right? And like everybody's like, "Yeah, man, so fresh, man, you were fresh today," all this kind of shit. And then it's like that word died. But cool will always be there.
Cool is always cool.
Cool is always cool. Nothing has replaced cool as cool.
But I always feel the word radical. That one always kind of grinds my gears a little bit.
It's very Pauly Shore circa 1997.
Because you know what I feel like? If I was to walk around saying radical all the time, I would kind of feel like, remember that movie Uncle Buck?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember
when I think of the word radical, that is the last fucking movie I think about.
But see, when I think about it, like, you remember there's a scene where his niece runs off to a party without his permission.
Right, yes.
And then he totally gate crashes the party.
That's right.
And he's walking through the house full of all these teenagers and he's like, mingling. He's got his cigar in his mouth going, hey, kids.
Hey.
And that's about the only time like an old person is probably trying to be cool.
Yes.
And they would probably use the phrase radical. It's like, hey, man, that hat. It's like totally radical.
Yeah. It's kind of like, oh, what are you, like 50 years old? Yeah, totally, man. It's funny how language does that as well. But, look, the 90s, it was an extreme time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of extreme things happening. I'll tell you, Devin, you know what's extreme?
What's extreme?
Point Break.
Point Break.
That is now that's fucking extreme. The thing about Point Break is that it was that may be the quintessential extreme movie.
I just hope you're talking about the first Point Break and not the second Point Break.
That is true. That is very true because they did remake it.
Yeah.
In 2015, they remake Point Break. The original 91. I think it's 91.
I think it's 91, yeah.
91. Now, that was a movie.
Yeah.
That Patrick Swayze, Keanu Reeves' his name is Johnny Utah, which is like, now that's extreme.
It's basically like Gaz Mueller.
It is almost as good as Gaz Mueller. It's not quite as good, but it's close.
Yeah.
And oh wow, it's amazing. I always imagine that like, oh yeah, we're going to make a movie. It's going to have bank robbers, that's very extreme. Yeah, bank robbing, very extreme. Yeah. But also have the president's faces on them and stuff like that.
The masks.
The masks. So you go, oh, that's very extreme. It's political satire. It's like anti-authoritarian, fuck the government. Oh, that's very extreme. Very extreme. And, hang on. They do extreme sports.
Yes.
And not just one, all of them.
Yeah.
All of them, all the time. That's very extreme. It's like, let's take everything that is extreme and put it in one movie. Now, that is extreme.
But you know what the funny thing is? For those people who've never seen the original Point Break, well, basically, if you've seen Fast and the Furious,
oh yeah,
it's exactly the same movie,
pretty much,
except for just instead of having like a car gang, just replace it with a surf gang.
Absolutely,
it's exactly the same movie.
It's the first movie again, yeah.
It's basically cop trying to infiltrate a gang who's committing crimes in the area.
He's going undercover, to try and find the source of all these crimes. And he's got that lovely FBI agent that's like, Johnny, you do whatever it takes. You find out who's doing this.
What's that guy's name? It's saying,
I don't know.
Is it something Busey?
Oh, Gary Busey?
Gary Busey.
That's right.
Man, that guy's got teeth.
He has got teeth.
I mean,
they're extreme.
They're the most extreme teeth.
Yeah, I remember that guy. And the thing is, it's kind of like, he's they send Keanu Reeves undercover, and all he does is pick up women, and like surf, and it's like, you do whatever it takes to catch these guys. You understand? You go out there and you have fun, and you sleep with lots of women, and you spend lots of time on the beach drinking beer and having fun, and do that until you solve the case.
The funny thing is,
I remember Patrick Swayze. He was like the king, cool guy. Yeah. But I remember like just look, spoiler alert, people. All right, because the movie's from 91. All right, so if you haven't seen the movie, get over it. So, the extremeness of the movie is reflected in many moments of character development. Yeah. One of the best ones being at the very end of the movie, where it's just like, it gets so extreme where like the character of Patrick Swayze just disappears into the waves. Yeah. Like he almost becomes so one with surfing that he just kind of evaporates. You know what I mean? It's so cheesy, but it's like, he is where he should be. And it's like, no, he's probably dead.
He's probably dead.
He's probably drowning right now.
And the funny thing was
probably in trouble.
Because that sort of was like once 100-year kind of wave that was meant to appear.
That's right.
But the thing was,
the whole movie, they talk about this, right?
They're talking about it, but that wave was meant to be here in Australia. So that's where they've actually meant to have gone. But clearly when you see, the setting, you go, that is
not Australia.
Does not bear any resemblance to any Australian country town, beach, shoreline, anything.
I remember that. Yeah, that's right. Because in the plot of the movie, it's supposed to be like this. This is like, it's like there was a storm, and then the storm was, scientifically affecting the fucking ocean. That then was going to create waves that were like 100 feet tall, and then they were like, we got to go. That my life will only be complete when I have experienced that. Yeah. And that is peak extreme, Devin, isn't it? I mean, that's about, it's so extreme that it's just you just become the board, There
was one thing that was extremely annoying about that final scene for me was, and I'm still baffled by it actually.
Right, okay. I'd say a lot of people are baffled by most of the movie. It is quite a strange movie.
It's their haircuts.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if you've noticed this, but...
How baffling.
Because if you think, right, at the start of the movie, Keanu Reeves has short, dark hair, right?
That's right.
Whilst Patrick Swayze
because he's a professional. He's an FBI agent.
He's an FBI.
He's clean cut.
He's clean cut.
Yeah.
You know, whilst you look at Patrick Swayze's character Bodhi, as he's called, has sort of the long sun bleached blonde hair.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Because he's rough and he's extreme. He doesn't give a shit how he looks, even though he looks good all the time.
But then at the end of the movie, Keanu Reeves now has long hair.
Yeah.
And Patrick Swayze's character has short hair.
Ah, yes.
Now, the thing is, I'm sort of thinking, when you look at the timelines and things like that, I'm thinking, hang a second.
Because there is a break in the movie, isn't there, where they age a bit or something, isn't it?
Well, it's only meant to be maybe about a year or so further down the line. But the thing is, I'm sort of thinking, well, either Patrick Swayze had his hair cut short in the final scene, but then how did Keanu Reeves get his hair to grow so long in that period of time? You know what I mean? Because you can clearly see it's real hair.
You can always tell the emotions that a person in Point Break is going through by the length of their hair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I guess that's the idea. Is Keanu Reeves is transitioning from, his character arc, so to speak, is like he's a straight-laced guy. Yeah. He works for the government. He doesn't rebel against anything, and then he goes to Brody, Patrick Swayze's character, and then he's seduced by the, rebellion, the constant rebellion against authority and all this kind of stuff. And then Keanu Reeves is going, you know what, there's something to this. Yeah. I'm going to rebel. Fuck the world, all this kind of stuff. I'm going to listen to Dr. Dre and surf all day. And so, and he's, he's rebelling. And then at the end of the movie, he's almost come full circle, right? He's he's on the beach. He's watching Patrick Swayze surf off, and he's he's a full rebel. But then, we don't know what Patrick Swayze's character Brody was doing in that year. Yeah. I mean, maybe he got broke. Maybe he had a part-time job, selling insurance, and that's why he had to get his hair cut.
Yeah, you never know.
We don't know. There's a bit missing there.
Yeah.
That movie wouldn't have been as good though. But the key thing is that Point Break was extreme. It was extreme. Another extreme movie?
What?
I know it's extreme, Devon. Very extreme. Cliffhanger.
Oh yes, with Sylvester Stallone.
There's a good movie, and again, it's taking an extreme sport, which I guess is hanging off cliffs. I don't know if that is a real sport, just to hang off it. He's not climbing up a cliff. He's not scaling a cliff. It's just generally hanging off it.
He's just hanging off a rope.
Just hanging off it. There's nothing special about that. The whole movie's based on a bunch of thieves that have stolen money, that are trying to transfer the money from one plane to another plane via a zip line between the planes, like 60,000 feet in the air or whatever. And you kind of go, just land the plane. Just land it. You don't have to have a zip line that then goes wrong and kills a bunch of people. Just land the plane and just hand them the money in a duffel bag. But they can't do that. It's extreme, Devon. You gotta do something. Have you seen Cliffhanger?
I have.
No, that is good.
Especially, I think the most memorable scene for me is when Sylvester Stallone's character Gabe.
Yeah.
He's basically out on the rope trying to save that girl, and then her buckle breaks and she falls. See, what I loved about that particular scene though was, if you actually look, one of the guys is holding the rope on the other side with, I think, the helicopter pilot.
Oh, that's right.
And if you watch the helicopter pilot, he's smiling. He's loving it. Like, he's smiling, chuckling away. And there's the woman who's almost about to die, and then eventually the buckle breaks at I
tell you, those buckles are indestructible. The point of the buckle is that they're made with reinforced special fucking alien steel. I mean, they're supposed to be indestructible. The buckle breaks like it's made of tinfoil. Yeah. Like, I've never seen a buckle. No, it doesn't do that.
It's about as strong as a bread tie on a loaf of bread.
But the thing is, Devon, is that she's not a big person. She's just a small lady.
Yeah.
Why is a buckle break? You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand. Like, if it can hold Stallone, who's a piece of man meat, why the fuck does it break when like one lady's there? So anyway, look, so he's a guy that's had tragedy in his life. And, he still works with Michael Rooker's character, Hal. And, man, they got some good names. I mean, you should see the names. Hey, Michael Rooker's character is called Hal Tucker.
Hal Tucker.
Now, that is a stream name. Without exception, the best use of stalactites in a movie ever. The best use of, because you look at stalactites, when I was in school and I went to a cave because I'd taken a school trip, and you see stalactites or stalagmites, whichever one they are. And you look,
yes, there's a way to know the difference.
Is there? What is it?
Well, they say stalactites hold on tight.
Right. Because it's above you.
Above you, yeah.
Right. And stalagmite is just, there's no rhyme for that. That's disappointing.
I have no idea with that one.
I'm very disappointed.
That was the only way. Yeah, that's the only way.
You give me half a poem there.
Yeah.
I need the whole thing. But yeah, no. So like stalactite is the top one.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So best use of stalactite without a doubt, because you do see it and you think, wow, if you had an action movie in this, let's impale a bad guy on a stalactite. I've never seen that done before. Bruce Willis didn't do that.
No.
But Stallone is going to do that. The only thing missing from that movie was like somebody that did parkour.
Oh yes.
They really needed that.
Yeah.
But parkour wasn't around back then. That was like 93. I think parkour came like later. And then we had like every movie had a fucking parkour guy in it that would fucking jump between buildings, and it was like, oh fuck, this is so good. So but like, do you not feel like now that every time you watch an action movie there's a parkour scene in it?
Exactly, yeah. Leaping from one building to the other and then doing a flip and a barrel roll and all sorts of things, yeah.
Yeah, the Casino Royale speaks to me because you got this scene where it's just like Bond, and Bond's just trying to run after a guy, and then the guy's like a fucking parkour guy. They started parkour, it's very extreme, in Paris.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, now, I don't know, there must be nothing to do in Paris, because the only way you would invent parkour is that if you had so fucking little to do, that you just go, fuck it, I'm just going to see if I can just fucking jump from that railing to that railing. And if I don't, it's going to hurt. It's going to be painful, this. Like, I'm going to be, and I don't mean like I'll have a sprain, like I'll probably have a permanent spinal injury.
I mean, just imagine the early attempts of that kind of thing.
Oh.
It'd be like, jump to one building. Oh, I just clipped my chin on the corner of the building.
And then when do you get legitimacy as a proper sport? You know what I mean? Like, it's just a dude going, oh, fuck it, I'm going to call it this, and you're like, it's just you, man, jumping off a staircase. I don't know if that's a sport. It's a tough one, that one. You're going to need maybe another 1,000 people that's joining you in this. And the risk-reward situation in parkour is crazy because, like if you do well at the Olympics, Devon, right, you become, a valued member of Olympic history.
True.
For infamy, for the next 2,000 years, if we're lucky enough to be alive and still have the Olympics, you will be a person, your name will be etched in stone, right?
Very true.
But if you're a parkour guy, right, the reward is having a YouTube video that maybe is watched by people. No guarantee.
Exactly.
Like, no fucking guarantee at all. Like, you're jumping off a fucking 200-foot building and barely landing on a ledge, and I might watch it.
There's a fine line between perfection and error.
Oh, yes.
With that kind of thing. It's like, you see a cat jump off the top of a bookshelf. It always lands on its feet. It lands the right way. We're not really designed that way. However,
we're not cats.
So you have to sort of try and train yourself to land that right way. Now, if you put your one foot out a bit too much or your leg's a bit stiff, bang, broken limb.
Well, that's it. And, it's kind of like, maybe I'll watch your YouTube video. Maybe. I mean, you might be, there's a lot of them. I don't know if you've been on YouTube lately. There's a fucking lot of videos on it. Like
there's one or two.
I need to find the one you made. You know what I mean? And I'm going like, I don't know if I'll look at that. Let's think. So that's the best that will happen, is that I will watch your video once on YouTube, and you may make a very small portion of money from advertising. The other side of that coin is basically you not making that landing, falling 200 feet. And, turning your body into a mush. And that's that, you know what I mean? I just cannot fathom how these guys think that the risk, because Devon, if somebody said to you, I'll give you $1 million if you do that.
Yeah.
You would probably think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you may not even do it at that point. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You would go, I don't know, maybe, but $1 million would be good. I mean, that would change my life. But still, though, bag of mush, I don't know.
So what do you want to walk away from?
That's right.
Your life or $1 million?
How is that going to work? And you're going to think about this for, you could take a week and think about this and not come up with a straight answer. You know what I mean? Because you kind of go, fuck, I'm still a physically fit guy. Maybe I could do it. And so this is constantly going on. These guys do that risk with, there's no million. There's nothing. There's definitely been, especially in Paris, where parkour is a big fucking thing to do. It's big in Perth as well.
Here in Australia?
Yeah, it's massive. I was in Perth and I seen a guy doing parkour, practicing it in the streets.
Oh, wow.
And I just figured because there's so little to do in Perth, that, fuck it, I'm just going to go out and see if I can break some bones.
Yeah, it's one of those sort of cities where, don't go to the toilet in the morning.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you won't have anything to do in the evening.
Well, everything in Perth closes at 3 o'clock. I went to a cafe in Perth to get a coffee, and they looked at me like, "What? Do you know what fucking time it is?" I'm like, "It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon." Like, it's like, "Yeah, we don't do coffee now." So there was everything closes so early there that I just figured that people just go, "You know what? I'm just gonna fucking fuck it. I'm just gonna jump off this building. Let's see what happens." I don't know what to do. I figure, in Paris, my thinking is that if you're a cop, right, and you see a guy like rob something, you go, "Wow, I'm going to chase after him. I've been training in the gym for months. I've been in the force 6 months. I want to get that promotion. Let's catch some crooks," And so the cop starts running after the guy, and then instantly you're like, the guy's a parkour guy.
Yep.
The criminal is fucking jumping through fucking banisters. He's jumping through windows, climbing up fucking drain pipes. He's doing all sorts of stuff. I've a soft spot for the Parisian cops that have to chase down these guys because they're never going to catch him.
Well, you see, if I got cornered, I would then switch to the other French tradition, which is mime.
Yeah, right.
So I'd start putting my hands up, pretending, "Oh, I'm behind a plate of glass." And then the cops are going, "Oh, how can we get past this guy? How can we get to him? There's a plate of glass between us."
Yeah, the Parisians, man, those cops, they got it tough. They have a hard job. And that's extreme, Devon.
There was a world championship of something that was, well, in Australia it's illegal.
Right.
But in other parts of the world it's kind of considered okay.
I love when people go considered okay. It doesn't necessarily mean it's illegal. It's kind of like, you know what? There's just not enough cops in the country to arrest me.
Have you ever watched cockfighting?
I've never seen cockfighting. I know what it is, though. The only time I've seen it was, ironically, in Casino Royale, which we just talked about. Yeah, it's in that movie.
Some people say it's the sport of kings.
Is it?
I don't believe so.
I've never seen a king.
I think it's a sport of peasants, mind you.
I probably say the same, yeah. It was a peasant that said that.
It probably was. Yeah, but it is quite a brutal sport. They basically train these two roosters or cocks.
How do you train a cock to be good at a cockfight? Because it's just a chicken, isn't it? How do you make a chicken Rambo?
So I've heard that basically, with the diet,
right?
They will feed them chicken.
What they feed chicken?
Chicken.
That's gross.
So chicken to the chicken and cocaine.
No.
So to fire them up a bit.
That is great. No, that's extreme.
So imagine going to KFC and saying, "I want some cocaine-laden."
Holy shit. Imagine if Point Break was about two fucking extreme dudes eating humans and taking cocaine. I mean, that would be an amazing movie. So so chickens eat themselves and then, snort cocaine and then go, "Fuck it, let's do it."
And then the thing was to train them because
it's such a cruel sport though, Devon. Can we highlight that? I mean, it's extremely cruel.
It is extremely cruel. And the thing was
we're not supporting it.
No, we're not. But the thing was to try and train these chickens or cocks, basically, to train them, you can't really train them like, Rocky, basically.
No.
Put boxing gloves on them.
Yeah, you can't make them lift tires at 6 a.m.
And start playing like Eye of the Tiger and
you can't,
music like that.
You can't make a chicken get up at 5 a.m. and drink its own eggs.
So what they do is basically all the roosters, like a lot of roosters and chickens, they normally sit on a perch.
Right.
Yeah, and usually the perch is usually just like a wooden rod or something like that, which is pretty strong.
Right.
And fixed. Well, what they do is they take away those perches and they put like a loose piece of rope.
Huh.
So that way the bird is perched on the loose piece of rope, but because it moves,
right,
the bird's legs also have to move, which then in turn actually works their muscles and helps train them.
Ah.
So that way, because the birds actually attack themselves usually with their legs and their claws.
Well, that's right, because, they always, it's pretty vicious. But you can't do much with a wing, can you? It's really just more of a slapping contest if you've got a wing.
It's just a bit of flapping.
Yeah, here's a feather. Fuck that. Fuck you. But, it's the feet are the main thing.
But they ramp it up a notch too. They will get like metal spikes and put it around sort of the ankle.
That's terrible.
So it's almost like the equivalent of having
it's like Terminator chickens, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
That's terrible.
And so they basically tear each other to shreds.
Oh, that's awful. I mean, it's horrific. It's horrific. And I imagine, let's face it, it's a gambling thing, isn't it, really, that they do this for? We're like, oh, that chicken's fucking, he's a Terminator chicken. Yeah, that guy, he's rubbish. All my money's going on Terminator chicken to win this one. I feel, look, there's got to be a way to make it less cruel. Can we give them suits of armor, maybe, or something? Can we turn it into jousting? of some sort, or there's got to be a way to make it just a bit better.
It's true. Well, the thing was too, I thought, because over in those countries too, they're usually done in back alleys and
so I just think of Mexico.
Yeah, it's sort of,
Yeah, if you go on spring break to Tijuana, you're going to see some cockfighting.
But imagine if it was stepped up a notch, and it was made to be like in a really big stadium. Because in those countries, and usually
you're going to need some binoculars, mind. So imagine I can't see anything.
But imagine having this huge stadium, and you got people, for example, because usually cockfighting is in the countries where English is not their first language.
It's always surrounded by there's so many people around them that you never see what goes on. Every time I've seen a cockfight in a movie, it's like there's so many people next to it. Yeah. That it's like, where the fuck what's going on? I can't, so I feel if it's in a stadium, it's the same thing.
Oh, well, look, if you've got the right kind of elevation, if the government walks in a lot of money and puts in a nice big stadium with, with big plasma screens.
Take some money out of healthcare and stick it in the fucking cockfighting circles. Let's get some fucking infrastructure in this thing.
But the thing is, with those kind of, if you had it in a big stadium, can you imagine them in a stadium full of 100,000 people screaming, "We love cock. We love cock. We love cock." Just imagine that. And then instead of you've got the halftime show and you've got cheerleaders.
Oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
But instead of cheerleaders, they're known as chicks.
Of course.
Because, like baby chickens.
Well, that makes sense, yeah. So it's all thematic, isn't it?
Yeah, so you get your halftime show, you just get some, what was it? Usually at the basketball they play.
Do you love cock? I love cock, It's we all love cock. And then everyone loves cock.
And you got all these fancy names for the fights, and
that would be good. I'd say the Conor McGregor of the cockfighters. He'd be a tough one because he would just talk his way out of it. Oh, that's great. I don't know. I feel like if it was a big industry, it would get to the point where you'd have to take some extreme measures, Devon. I don't know if you can steroid a chicken, but that would be the next.
You know what I think people would do? I think there'd be scandals where I think someone would probably smuggle in a turkey.
Yeah.
They get a turkey.
I don't know. He doesn't look like a chicken. No, he's a chicken.
He's a chicken.
Honestly, he's just a bit big, all right? Yeah. Stop judging him.
Yeah, he's like the Godzilla.
Yeah.
And then
man, he's a fucking big chicken.
And then someone steps it up again and brings in an emu. And goes, no, it's a big chicken.
Man,
it's a rare, long-necked Australian chicken.
Yeah, he doesn't like anyone looking at him, all right? Don't look at him.
Fair enough, he's 6 foot tall, but it's a chicken.
They must go up to these chickens and be like, you see that other chicken? He called you a dickhead. He does not like you at all. Are you going to take that shit?
I want you to smash the giblets out of him.
Yeah, are you going to take him calling you out like that?
But see, I wonder if they would try and antagonise each other. Because with us people, when someone tries to antagonise someone in a fight, they're usually going,
What are you, chicken? Yeah, I am actually. I am a chicken. Literally, I am a chicken.
It's extreme, Gary.
It's there's a lot of extreme going on.
Yeah.
I think we should go out. I think we should go to a 7-Eleven. We should buy Pepsi Max.
Pepsi Max.
Let's get our skateboards.
Yep.
And we'll go skateboarding and go to the Limp Bizkit show.
That sounds totally radical and extreme.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.